what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Footcandle Films. Film news and reviews from two guys who really like movies.
This episode is brought to you by the Footcandle Film Society. For a schedule of upcoming screenings and membership information, visit the Society's website at www.footcandle.org.
Hello and welcome to Footcandle Spotlight. This is your little hit of Footcandle in between the big Footcandle shows that we do once a month. These are what we call Footcandle Spotlights, where we pick just one film, or maybe in some situations it's one news story, and just talk about it. Nice, short, quick. This is the kind of show, Chris, where you can listen to on your way into work. You're done in a few minutes. Nice little quick synopsis summary there. I'm Alan Jackson. With me is Chris Fry.
Hello.
Chris, you doing okay today?
Yes, I am.
You ready for a spotlight?
I am.
Good. Well, we got a good one to talk about in just a second. Before we do, our sponsor for Footcandle Films and for many of the shows on the Mesh, Main Cellar City Club in downtown Hickory, a wonderful event and concert venue. Some great bands they've already had there, but a couple really good ones coming up. Most notably, Little River Band's coming to Hickory to play at the Main Cellar City Club in February. Check them out online at maincellarcityclub.com. That is all one word, maincellarcityclub.com. Check them out. Thanks for the support. Chris, our spotlight today is going to be the very ambitious film Cloud Atlas.
Yesterday, my life was headed in one direction. Today, it is headed in another.
You ever think the universe was against you?
Fear, belief, love, phenomena that determine the course of our lives. These forces begin long before we are born and continue after we perish.
So, Chris, I actually checked out this film months ago, like when it was starting to get promoted.
Okay.
And here's the things I learned about it. Stars Tom Hanks and Halle Berry, both Oscar-winning actor, actress.
Gotcha.
It has directed by three directors, the Wachowski brothers, and then you've also got Tom Tykwer, who I think did Run Lola Run.
Yes.
And a few other films as well. The whole idea I understand about the film is it's an exploration of how actions of individual lives impact one another. It goes through all different time periods. People are playing multiple roles. And the thing is a freaking 3 hours long. Now, when I hear this description, I immediately think in my head, this is either going to be an amazing experience or it's going to be a huge train wreck. Now, I've consciously not seen this film yet. You have. And I want to ask you the question. Do we need to hop off the train because it's about ready to crash? Or is it speeding down the tracks in all its glory? Where is this film lying?
I think this film is firmly on the tracks, and I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece. I won't use the M word, but I will say that it's pretty close.
Now, Chris, you are. I think I could probably replay some of the episodes in the past where you've lamented films that go much beyond 90 minutes in length.
Yes.
This not only goes beyond 90 minutes, I think this actually doubles it.
Yeah,
so,
it's long. It's long.
All right.
I think it does. It's not 3 hours, but it is very close.
2 hours, 52 minutes.
Yeah, so it might as well be.
All right. If you skip out when the credits start, you're in there 2:46 or something like that. So, yeah, it's a long movie.
Right. It is a long movie, and I think and I'm the first person that if I get bored by either the story or the acting, that's what takes me out of a film, and I start to look at my watch.
Okay.
I start to say, okay, this is ridiculous. Okay, I don't own a watch. I would look at my phone.
You look at your phone. Yeah,
yes.
that's like everybody does.
But this film, granted, the time was justified. Okay, and a lot of other movies, I feel like, okay, they're just stretching this out. It doesn't make any sense. This movie, I was never bored, but I think it's because the 2 hours and 52 minutes was justified. They're trying to tell 6 different stories.
All right, so there are 6 stories going on. Now, do all 6 of them include Tom Hanks and Halle Berry?
Oh, man.
Because they're playing multiple roles throughout the film.
I believe all 6 stories don't necessarily focus directly on them, but they are somehow in all 6 stories.
So is it
and
safe to
there's
say-
some other characters, Jim Broadbent,
Right.
The guy who plays in The Matrix, who plays the bad guy.
Hugo Weaving.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He
Jim
is,
Sturgis.
yeah, in some form or fashion, a lot of these people are in each story. Now, are there actually, like, for example, is Jim Broadbent in all 6? I think so, but I'm not sure. But I think for a fact, Halle Berry and Tom Hanks they play some role, some character. In most of them, they're kind of a central, important character, but not necessarily.
So technically, some of these actors are playing up to 6 roles in
Yes.
the film with 6 different storylines.
Yes.
Now, is it cross-cutting across time,
Yes.
or is it pretty much here's story 1, then here's story 2?
No, it is. And that's what, I remember you and I discussed, I think you brought this up in one of our news segments. We discussed this film, and I said, I'm interested in it, but it sounds like a complete train wreck. I think at that time I'd actually seen a trailer as well, and the trailer worried the heck out of me too, because it had all this explanation of like, this is a story. Like it had somebody kind of narrating it, kind of trying to tell you what was going on that was based by book. And I think the directors even come on and talk about like, we realize this is ambitious. It was like,
The
there
Wachowski, I say the Wachowski brothers, they're not brothers anymore,
Siblings.
but the siblings.
Yeah.
They actually put out a video with Tom Tykwer, which was very unique, like a 5-6 minute video.
That's where-
kind of an elongated trailer where they actually talk and introduced it a little bit while the footage played. I think it's because if people just saw the trailer by itself, the general masses might get a little freaked out. So.
And I think that could be true, although I ended up seeing the generic trailer without any, and I thought it was like, that's what got me excited about the movie, because I was like, okay, it looks like it's there. The one that you're discussing with the directors, that to me was like them advance apologizing for like, yeah, we realize this is kind of all over the place.
So,
and, please forgive us, man. We were just trying to do something cool.
We know what we're doing, I promise. Right.
So, but it worked, and I think it's no small feat. And I really appreciate films that A, are ambitious, and B, just try to do something different. And it was like a Robert Altman movie on acid. I mean, it was just, it was all these different storylines, all these different characters. But
I wonder if we can get that on the movie poster quote for the DVD case.
Like
Robert Altman on acid.
But it was very well done. And actually, I think the downside is people may be scared off from this movie because they hear like, 6 storylines. That sounds really confusing. There's no way I can make any sense of that. It's actually not that confusing.
Is it? Well, that was going to be my next question
No.
was it hard to keep up with?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think some people might find it a little annoying, some of the tricks they do. Like sometimes if one character named Alan is walking out a door, the character that they'll cut to in the next time frame, which could be 300 years in the future, he'll be walking out a door. So they'll do these little like cut things to kind of give you a visual continuity.
It's visual cuts between these different storylines, but it works.
Right. And some people may find that irritating, but I actually didn't bother me, and I thought it was kind of cool. And I didn't even notice that they did it every time. But apparently, for the most part, they pretty much do that every single cut between the timelines, which could irritate some people. But I thought it was really well done, and it was no small feat. Now, I'm not to say that the movie is perfect,
okay?
Because I could go on and on about all the things I really liked about it. I thought the acting was strong across the board. I thought the direction was strong. I thought the stories were strong.
Even Halle Berry was good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought she's okay.
Good. She's very hit or miss, mostly miss for me.
If she had been the lead character for all 6 stories and it basically focused on just her, then I probably would have had a little bit of, because she's not my favorite person either. Yeah. But in this, because it's so fragmented in so many different stories, I can't get fed up with her being one character because she's not. She's like 4 or 5 different ones. So that helped me not kind of get
acting
fed
was
up.
good. You like, in general, it kept your attention. Was there anything else really positive about it you want to play up?
Just the visuals. It was a very visual film, and just the aspirations of it I just really admired. But
what did not work as well?
The one thing that did not work with me is there's one storyline that takes place. It's identified as 10 years after the fall, whatever that means, far in the future, okay? And it has some dialogue between Halle Berry and Tom Hanks' these 2 characters they play being future people way, way in the future. What was distracting about it is they spoke in this like Creole, like chopped up English type thing, which, okay, you're trying to give a sense of like this is the far future, society has fallen, so maybe people aren't as educated, they've developed their own language. Okay, I get that. That's cool. either do one of two things. Either subtitle it so I can understand what's going on, or make it so that it's easier to understand and not quite as corrupt. Because basically in that far future, a lot of times I could not understand what they were saying. And that was profoundly
So there was no
irritating.
subtitles.
No.
And the language was just hard enough to not quite always know what was going on.
Right. It was like you would understand maybe every eighth word, and you'd have to kind of put together, okay, what are they talking about? And what are they trying to say about what they're talking about? Like, how is the story going forward?
That could have been very intentional. It could have been the directors almost wanted you to kind of put in your own, kind of make up a little bit of your own scenarios, maybe?
Maybe, but maybe. And that would be very interesting.
Well, you're not the only person I've heard criticize that. Somebody else
I think it would be more just laziness of to me.
Somebody else said the same thing about it. So if they were going for some sort of special intent, it didn't quite work. It sounded like.
It just ended up being more frustrating. Yeah. And as a director, the rest of the movie was not trying to be frustrating. So if that was their thing to try to challenge a viewer, then it's like in 5 storylines, you don't do this. And then in this 6th one, you're doing it for some reason that's not very apparent.
Yeah,
and also I think the only thing, which I'll say this would be laziness, is that the 6th story kind of has some surprise elements to it, maybe. And the only reason they were using that language is so that you would not understand what was going on, which is kind of a lazy way of getting a surprise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit, sure. So. Last couple questions I had about it. So it has 3 directors.
Yes.
Which is a very kind of unique approach in general. You've got the Wachowski siblings, Andy and Lana, and then you've got Tom Tykwer. Are there noticeable differences in styles throughout the film? Do you understand that they maybe directed different portions, storylines of it, or what's your take on that?
I felt it was a pretty unified piece. When I had it pointed out to me at the end of the film, unfortunately, after this film was like 3 hours, I had to run home to relieve a babysitter. And actually the people cleaning the theater kind of like rushed us out. So I didn't actually get to sit through all the credits, which I would recommend anybody seeing this movie do that, because what they do is they show each actor and they show all the characters that they played and they give them credit, and then they show like the directors, and then it tells which director directed which sequences.
Okay, so they were broken up by sequences, we understand.
They were.
Okay.
So like the 6 stories, the directors like chopped them up. But for me, I felt like it was pretty unified. I've heard some people talking about specific segments that were directed by Tom Tykwer, and it makes sense that he directed one that was taking place in London about a composer, and that had a very Perfume feel, which is a movie that he did prior to this and after Run Lola Run, and it had a similar feel to it. And so I guess, but it wasn't distracting. Like, oh, this is clearly the Wachowski brother. Oh, this is
it meshed pretty well.
Yeah,
so,
I felt like it did.
Our last question for you.
Sure.
And it's unfortunately the question I think that anybody is going to ask when talking about a film by the Wachowski siblings, because they're so well known for the Matrix trilogy. Now, forget about Matrix 2 and 3. Okay, those never happened.
Right.
They're wiped out of your brain.
Okay.
Looking at the original Matrix, how does this compare? In terms of groundbreaking and in terms of overall effect? I mean, because The Matrix still holds up for me, even all these years later, as a really fascinating film, really well made. They've been a little bit of a letdown as directors, I think, to the general public ever since then, both with the Matrix sequels, and they did Speed Racer, which I personally enjoyed, but a lot of people didn't. How does this stack up?
That's a hard question to answer. Did they write The Matrix?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
and of course, this movie is based on a book.
Okay, that's where the question was.
But they did write it for the screen, so they took it over and developed the screenplay for it. So, I've put Chris on the spot.
I'm going to say, for me, speaking personally for me, this movie resonates more with me than The Matrix does. The Matrix had a lot of cool effects, but acting was a little scattershot. Sorry, Keanu.
Oh, Keanu.
I know. Go and beat him up. But it was interesting visually, and it was a fun movie, but it was like a summer blockbuster, and that's pretty much it. But it has withstood the test of time because it was so revolutionary in its effects and some of the ideas about living in a matrix and not really know what's going on. That's kind of become pop culture touchstones. So that, But for me, this movie resonates more just because of its ambition of what it was trying to do narratively and tying together all the storylines. Wow. So I would say Cloud Atlas is the better film. I would say that for me, I think it should be nominated for Picture of the Year. It should be nominated for Director. Probably not acting, just because it was so all over the place as far as like the different roles and stuff. But I definitely think it deserves recognition, and I'll be really let down if it doesn't get some kind of recognition. So for me, Cloud Atlas is the better movie. But I can see most people saying, "Oh no, The Matrix," just because it was such a hallmark of its kind and kind of changed the way a lot of movies were made.
Very strong recommendation there from Mr. Chris Fry.
Right.
Good. Well, I missed this in its theatrical run. Last I heard, I think it's still playing at some theaters as we record this. It's probably making its way to the second run theaters, which means, of course, it's on the path to DVD in the next few months. We'll see when the nominations are announced in January to find out where, if there's any chance Cloud Atlas is making, if they have a field of 10 Best Picture nominations. I think this year has not been a terribly strong year for a lot of films. I think it's got every chance of being up there in that field, from what I hear anyway.
One last little note that I'll say too. A lot of people have been ripping on Twitter about the makeup in Cloud Atlas. I've seen some people ripping on it. Yeah, and I think, but if you think of the fact they've got 5 or 6 different actors playing all these different roles, I think the actual makeup and costuming and stuff was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. And I think it was well done. And I think you should, just because how can you make one person look that different and these many people? It's like, it's a lot of work. So I hope they at least get nominated for that too, just to acknowledge like, yeah, you guys did an awful lot of work on this.
Well, and two, I wonder if Eddie Murphy's upset he didn't get cast in the movie.
Probably.
Well, I think there should have been
just done the whole movie.
There should have been like a whole subplot just about the clumps and somehow work them into Cloud Atlas story.
True.
That would have probably really pushed it over the edge for you.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. That would have been a masterpiece.
Yes. All right. Chris, Cloud Atlas, thank you for that snapshot spotlight review for us. Sounds like you're giving it a very strong recommendation.
Yes.
Recommend everybody go out there and check it out. Write to Chris. Let him know. Is he right or wrong on this thing? Contact us at info@themesh.tv. You can go to our Film Society's website at footcandle.org, and we actually will be posting these episodes up there. You can make some comments there on that site as well, or you can make it on the Mesh Network's show page, which is on themesh.tv. So a lot of different places to reach us. We're also on Facebook with the show and with the Film Society. Let us know what you think. Agree with Chris, disagree with Chris. Is this a masterpiece or just short of a masterpiece, and better than The Matrix? Or is Chris completely off his rocker with this one? So we look forward to hearing back from you. Again, thanks to Mainstellar City Club for their support of The Mesh and Footcandle Films. Check them out at mainstellarcityclub.com. And for Footcandle Spotlight, we're going to go ahead and tune out. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the review.
See ya.
All right, take care, everyone.
Watch films in the company of like-minded people in the dark. Watch films in the underground. We won't let anyone know where you are. The films that don't make it to Carmike at the mall, or ones that were famous when Grandpa would watch films out of the reverence of the heritage of an art. Watch films through the courtesy of Footcandle Film Society.
Special thanks to Carpal Tuller for the show theme music. For more about Carpal Tuller, visit www.carpaltuller.com. You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.